It is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. This is an opening week edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. I am so excited because I was back out at Dodger Stadium last night, exhibition game, freeway series, Halos, Dodgers, getting some content for dugout discussions. Just good to be back around the boys, man.
You're just built differently, Chris. I'm actually enjoying the last day before the madness. You're diving headfirst into the
Yeah.
madness right now. That's why you're different. I love
Yeah.
it for you.
It was fun because the Angels coaching staff is basically entirely new, right? With Kurt Suzuki as the manager there. So I got to see some guys I hadn't seen in a while. Former St. Louis Cardinal John Mabry. I don't know if that
Oh
name
yeah,
rings a bell.
yeah.
Adam Eaton. I hadn't seen him in a while. So it was, and Brady Anderson.
You're speaking like my time. All right,
Okay. I
John
was
Mayberry, Stanford guy.
it's not John Mayberry. It's John Mabry.
Oh, okay,
M-A-R-B.
different.
Yeah, Mabry. Yeah, left-handed hitter, played for the Cardinals in the late '90s. I think that's when he started, and gosh, I hadn't seen some of these guys in years, so it was kind of fun. So we got a lot
Did
of
you
good
talk to
content.
Suzuki at all?
I did not get a chance to chop it up with him.
Oh, he's big time.
Nomar kinda swiped him over and got his claws into him for a while, which I'm sure was nice for the two of them to visit. But I'll catch up with him. I'll be heading out to Anaheim for some content coming up in the next couple of weeks when the Halos are home. So let's get it going. We got a lot to get to. Some exciting news for one guy on the north side of Chicago. We got some MVP, Cy Young, rookie-ish predictions coming your way as well on this show. But we started off with our tip of the cap, and for that, we take you to the Texas Rangers. And Carter Baumler is a pitcher that it's been a long journey for this guy, a former fifth-round pick of the Baltimore Orioles, Rule 5 by the Rangers. And this is his skipper, Skip Schumacher, came out to talk to him in the middle of his appearance, and he found out he made the team while on the mound. Here is the soon-to-be rookie.
I mean, honestly, I thought I was getting taken out of the game. I didn't know what was going on. Obviously, whenever the manager comes out, you're usually done. So, yeah, he just came up and told me I made the team, and everybody just, kind of said congrats. And I mean, what a special way. It caught me totally off guard. So that was pretty cool.
So a tip of the cap to Carter and to his skipper as well. Innovative delivery, I think.
I think that's so cool. I mean, there's nothing better than, making the team. Is this his debut or okay. I
Yep.
mean, then that's even better. Knowing that all your hard work is finally paid off. And I think the first thing that probably ran through his mind is like, who am I going to call? I think that's one of the coolest things about, getting told you're going to the big leagues is being able to tell your parents or whoever it is that's really special to you. So, good job, Skip. I love that, man. That gets me right here, right in the
You
heart.
know what? The only thing that would have made it better is if Skip had busted out his phone and said, "Here, call your
Oh,
parents.
yeah.
You just made the show."
And he left them in, right? Like,
He
that's
did.
also kinda crazy. Like, if I'm him, like, you just take me out, like, this is too much.
Yeah, it's been a tough journey for that kid. He was, as I mentioned, a fifth-round pick of the Orioles out of a high school in Iowa, and in his second, I think, bullpen, he blew out his arm.
Oof.
Yeah, and so he had a long road back, didn't quite make it in the Orioles organization, unprotected in the Rule 5 draft, and here he is making a big league roster for opening day. So that is one of the many, many great stories that we're gonna get over the next 6+ months of baseball, and we love every bit of it. So, very cool. Carter, Skip, well done. All right out of the gate, it's time for Stock Risers, which is brought to you by SeatGeek, where we take a look at players and prospects who are ready to break out in 2026. And this guy has quickly become a household name because not only is he a stock riser, he's going to be able to increase his portfolio. Pete Crow-Armstrong, it's the reason I'm wearing the Chicago Cubs lid today, has reportedly agreed to an extension. Jeff Passan, our buddy from ESPN, was the first to break the story. Bob Nightingale of USA Today says it's anywhere between 6 and 9 years and is expected to be 9 figures. Now, this is a guy that was an MVP candidate, certainly the first half of last year. Offensively, he slowed, but overall, one of the young, dynamic players we have in this game. There are going to be some fans who will say, well, maybe the Cubs should have slowed their roll and see if he could have gotten himself back on track the first couple months of 2026. What say you?
I say that, the guy's floor is so high that I have no problem with them doing this deal. I understand the struggles in the second half, but we did see the ceiling also, and the ceiling is like MVP type player.
Mhm.
But again, like the defense alone out there, go around the league, check out center fielders, and tell me who's better than PCA. Like there's just not a lot of guys out there at that position. It's such a premium position. And again, he just plays it so well that he's going to continue to rack up WAR and give value even when his bat struggles. But I also think he's going to be able to make the adjustments that he needs to make as he gets a little bit more time in the big leagues, more bats, strike zone judgment gets a little bit better, maybe some mechanical stuff. But defense alone, base running alone is going to provide that value. I'm curious to see the number, Chris.
Mhm.
6 years, 9 years. I'm assuming it's got to be anywhere from 17 to 20 a year AAV. That's kind of what I have in my head. But PCA, I just saw you at the WBC. You gave me no heads up on this. I really would have liked that. That'd have been cool. But anyways, congrats. Come move to my neighborhood, man. Let's be friends.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm
You're
trying
in
to
that
recruit all my boys to this neighborhood.
Well, but hold on. You're in that type of neighborhood? This guy's about to get a 9-figure extension, and, well, we know because Matthew Stafford is right down the street. So we
Thank
have
you,
a pretty
yes.
good idea of where you
I
live.
live in a nice neighborhood.
Yes, you do.
Let's just say I bought it at the right time.
Okay. Well, this is not about Trevor Plouffe, this topic as a stock riser, although maybe it should be occasionally on this show. Look, I saw a quote from Jed Hoyer that said, even when he struggles, Pete Crow-Armstrong is an excellent ball player. When he's hitting, he's an elite ball player. And I think that's the way you have to look at this. And we can't always look at every 9-figure player the same. We just can't. So what he brings, first of all, he has attached himself to the city of Chicago. I don't know how many more popular players there are in the Windy City throughout the 4 sports than Pete Crow-Armstrong. Now, why are you laughing?
I'm just looking at him. He's a stud. I mean, I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to deal with failure and success at this level. And I think that he's got the right mental makeup. I mean, he is now undoubtedly the face of the Chicago Cubs moving forward, right?
He's one of them. They have such a good team. I mean, yes, if you're trying to tell me and tell everybody that how marketable he is, I'm going to agree with you. I think that alone brings value
Mhm.
to the team. Like this is a guy, like you said, he's embraced the city. He's young, ambitious, wants to go out and be part of the Chicago culture, and I think that means something too. He's not a guy that's just like, I'm just going to do baseball. That's not him. So I think he just brings value in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you want the baseball, you want the on-field stuff, but the stuff that he can bring you off the field is just a plus as well. He's not only Chris, I think in Chicago will we be talking about this guy, but he has a chance to be one of our national stars as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that if he had there's a couple of thoughts I have with him on the World Baseball Classic. I think he's one of those guys that's really going to benefit for those 2.5, 3 weeks that he was around Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber. I always felt like that with Bobby Witt a couple of years ago. You know, if you remember, Trey Turner was the guy that was playing shortstop at that time, and Bobby Witt was just kind of along for the ride. I can't wait to talk to Bobby about how much that experience helped propel him into the superstar that he's become. And it would not shock me if PCA, through osmosis, through being with Aaron Judge every day for those 2.5 to 3 weeks. And then Alex Bregman now, similar type leader and constant every day in the baseball world. Like, I think that's going to help him grow exponentially.
Oh yeah, and I will say this: Bregman's going to be a big part of this too. But he already is a dog. Like he is a
Mhm.
baseball rat. So like I know you might look at him and he's out with Caleb Williams, and you're like, okay, well, like is he going to focus on baseball? Like that's first for him. Like I know that for a fact. Like he's a worker and a dog. Like he's a grinder type player, and he does the other stuff. Like he's just very well rounded. Got a good head on his shoulders. And I'm able to speak this way because I've got to hang out with him a few times and kind of get to know him. He's from our area.
Right.
I can't speak highly enough about this guy, so I'm excited for him.
And I think for Cubs fans, the most exciting thing is that he is not close to a finished product offensively at all. Like not a lot of guys have a 230-point dip in OPS from first half to second half. And there were times where you could see he was struggling emotionally with this sport. And he actually told me in spring training that one thing Craig Counsell told him to do was, like, enjoy this. Take a breath. It's okay. Not every at bat is game 7 of the World Series. So, like, loosen up a little bit. And that's an area where he has to grow and get better. And I think that's going to make him a better ball player. But I think this is the right move for Chicago. And let's remember, we were talking about this. I don't know if it was 10 months ago that there was a reported extension on the table for mid 60s in terms of millions of dollars. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets double that now.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what it'll be. Somewhere between like 150, 180, I'm thinking.
Yeah. First player in Cubs history to go 30, 30, 30. So that's homers, steals, and doubles. A lot of stuff going on there. Yeah. That's nice numbers. Oh, God, we're showing us. Great. Take it. With that premium position and that
Get that
glove.
OBP at PCA. Come on, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
He will.
And that's,
He will.
look, 155 strikeouts last year, 29 walks. That's not going to be good enough down the line. But as he continues to develop, hopefully one number comes down, the other number goes up, and because you need his speed and his base running acumen on the bases for them. Cubs fans, what do we think overall? Baseball fans in general, were you kind of shocked by this? What? You just look like you had one other thing to say. No, you're good. You're good.
Stop looking at me so hard.
No. Well, I'm just curious. I want to make sure that I call on you in class. I don't want to leave you out in the cold. We're a team here. Just a quick reminder, everybody, use the code BASEBALL2026, 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. Go get that. Those that were in attendance at the Dodgers and Angels game, if you were there early, you saw Roki Sasaki continue to struggle. Last night, he was actually pulled in the first inning. In spring training, you could still come back in the game. It's been a rough spring training overall for this dude. Now, Dave Roberts had to come out and get him. He didn't retire a batter in the first inning against the Angels. In fact, he didn't even give up a freaking hit. He was walking the world. He hit Zach Neto twice in the game. Here's Dave Roberts after the game.
He's going to start, like I said, he's going to start the fourth game of the season. He's got to go out there and attack hitters. I think that it's just one of those things that it's just tough to pitch when you're working behind in counts, running deep counts, and getting your pitch count up there. So I think it's just one of those things that, if it's mechanical, if it's mental, if it's emotional, all that we got to kind of sift through and getting finding some clarity, when he takes them out.
Are the Dodgers making a mistake by putting him in the rotation to start the year?
I don't think so. We've seen this guy have success at the big league level, and it's funny. Like, I do the same thing about like spring training results. I'm like, sometimes they matter, sometimes they don't. But it seems to me like, yeah, like there's some mechanical stuff going on with him. He's even said that himself, and there's a possibility that we see him for a little bit. It doesn't look right, and he goes down to AAA and works on things. That's the beauty of this deal that the Dodgers have with him. He's got options. They're not paying him a ton of money. Like, they can treat him like he's been part of their organization, like they drafted him. It's not like a Yamamoto situation where they're paying him $300 million and they're wasting money in AAA. So I think, they're going to see what they have with him, see if the bright lights turn on and things change, which could happen. They have enough pitching depth where, they can afford to do that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think there's some chatter already on the internet about, hey, we saw him in the bullpen. He looked good in the playoffs. Is that going to be his role for the Dodgers? And I mean, shoot, down the road, maybe, but I still think that he's got enough talent to be a starter in this league. It's just, there are times where you're going to have to make adjustments. So I think the Dodgers are going to give him a look. I don't think it's going to be a long leash, to be honest with you.
And like, if
they don't see what they improvements over the first, I'll give him 2 starts. If it's bad in 2 starts, I think he ends up going down to AAA and has to figure things out. Like, I think that's the truth.
Well, the Dodgers have as much starting pitching depth as anybody in this league, right? Now, Blake Snell is injured to start the year. And, I mean, to me, the question is, if Snell was healthy, would Sasaki be in the starting rotation? And to me, the answer is no. I mean, I think they believe in Emmett Sheehan a lot. And we have to remember a few things. Even though Roki is an enormous name, he is an unproven player over here, and particularly as a starting pitcher. You remember what happened at the beginning of last year? It was ugly, and a lot of it had to do with his lack of command. As a starting pitcher last year, 24 strikeouts, 22 walks. He got injured. He went down to the minors. He came back. He was out of the bullpen. He looked like a totally different guy. And the Dodgers do not win the World Series without his performance in the postseason. They just don't. Now, he still was a little rickety with his command at times. 6 strikeouts, 5 walks in the postseason, I believe is what his numbers were. So just like we talked with PCA that he's not a finished product as an everyday ball player, I don't think the Dodgers, they want him to be a starting pitcher, but I don't think they're 100% in definitively answering saying that he is a starter of the future, right? I don't think you can say that.
No, not when you not when you have what they have. I think on other organizations, you just get a ton of chances to fail.
Mhm.
But the Dodgers have built up their rotational depth in such a way that, they can afford to either have him in AAA or eventually just say, hey, we really like you in the bullpen. And look, we remember with the Dodgers how much their bullpen struggled last year after
Mhm.
what we thought they assembled a freaking dream team out of the pen. It didn't work out that way. There were some injuries, some poor performance. They bring in Edwin Diaz now to cure some of that. But I mean, would it shock you to see him in the bullpen by the end of the year? It wouldn't shock me.
Nope. And people say,
Especially,
well,
we talk about all the time about like the importance of guys that can go multiple innings in the bullpen. Like he's that guy.
right.
Does he want that? Absolutely not. Like he hasn't made the money yet.
No, they got him on for nothing. And he's only 24. And there's an adjustment to coming over to the United States. And people say, well, it's year 2. Well, everybody's different in how they adjust to new culture and everything else. So the nice thing for the Dodgers is they're so damn good that they can afford to run them out there a few times, and it's not going to crush their playoff chances, right? And others will say, well, if Blake Snell's not healthy, where would they turn? Well, they could turn to Justin Robleski easily, have him eat up some innings, and particularly early in the year when you have some off days in April, they can figure it out. They're going to be just fine. Now, look at your Roki Sasaki crystal ball for the year. What do you think the narrative is at the end of the 2026 season?
Swiss Army knife. I think he's got the stuff. Like it's the command issue. He has that fastball that at the top of the zone works. Anywhere else in the zone doesn't work. And if you're constantly falling behind hitters, the walks will kill you. But even if you're just falling behind hitters, that's also not going to be good for you. So I think we hash some things out mechanically. I don't think he's going to be a starter the entire year. There's just too much depth and too much talent in the Dodgers rotation. So I could see him getting some starts. I can see him being in the bullpen, throwing multiple innings. I could see him closing out games. Like I think he has that potential to be the Swiss Army knife for the Dodgers, and that's a very valuable weapon for them.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be. He's not going to be one of 4 in the rotation when we get to October. He's going to play a role, and I just don't know what it is. I know he will not be out there closing games, barring an injury to Edwin Diaz.
You never know.
We can all agree on
there can be off days for Diaz where he comes in. Over under on saves for Roki Sasaki this year. I'll put it at 1.5. So it's got to happen a couple times. Over under.
Under.
I'll take the over. I just think there's going to be times where Diaz is going to want some rest, and I think that means he's going to.
You got to remember they've got some veteran arms back.
I know they do.
They've got guys who have
guys there.
Now, whether or not you still believe in Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan's still back there. There have been guys that have been very successful closers at the major league level. So I don't know why Roki. I'll take the under.
Well, I'll tell you why Roki, because we saw him do it in the World Series.
I know, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it during the regular season.
Shout out Brock.
If we get to the playoffs.
Brock.
What's that?
I said, shout out Brock Stewart, my guy.
Yeah, how's he doing?
He's rehabbing right now. He's coming back.
Okay. Wish him well. All right, cool. Dodger fans, is it a mistake that Roki's going to be in the starting rotation? I say you live with it, because if you can correct him at this level and feel good about it, great. And if you don't, we'll see you at the latest when Blake Snell gets back, but it'll be way earlier than that. Snell he threw a bullpen yesterday, I believe. I saw him out there throwing a pen. So Dodger fans, maybe, who knows? See it at some point. Hey, today's episode of Baseball Today, it's sponsored by MLB The Show. That's right, MLB The Show 2026. It is back, and we're just riding all the steam of the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, it is part of the show. You can take on real-life World Baseball Classic teams from all over the world with your Diamond Dynasty squad in the online mode. Step up to the plate. Brand new World Baseball Classic ballparks. That includes the Tokyo Dome and Estadio Hiram Bithorn down in Puerto Rico, which look freaking awesome. Additional 2026 game features include Road to the Show. You got Road to Cooperstown, where you can build your legacy from the start of high school all the way up to the Hall of Fame in career mode. Or you could actually be like me and quit baseball after 8th grade, but I wouldn't recommend it. Also, the Negro Leagues mode returns for Season 4 with all new legends, uniforms, and stadiums. And get this, if you visit mlbthe.show/jomboy, use the code JOMBOY, you can unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection is required, but that is cool stuff. We want to hear all about it. It's available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. It is rated E for everyone. Did I tell you that I quit baseball after 8th grade?
I think I've heard the story before. You made the right decision. Look at your life now. You're crushing it.
You know, did I tell you why I quit baseball?
You got hit by a pitch.
Well, it's close. I got scared. Guys started throwing hard, and then I couldn't stand in there. Why are you laughing at me?
Because I think, you know what? You made, like I said, you made the right decision.
What could have been? I hit .314 my last year for Ron Grant. Coach.
And what division was that? Like in
It was 8th grade. What do you mean, what division?
What were you playing in 8th grade? Is that like Little League?
No, it was our 8th grade school baseball team at University School.
That's insane that you had an 8th grade baseball team. We don't even have that in California. In Ohio, you had 8th grade baseball?
Of course.
It's crazy.
Of course. Yeah, we had it. 7th grade was, I think, the first year you could play. Yeah.
.314 is not going to cut it. I'm going to tell you that right now. Not in youth ball.
Dude, that's .314 with 0 infield hits.
If you're hitting .314 in like youth ball or high school.
What? Not good enough?
No, it's not. No offense to people hitting .314.
I think I got thrown out from right field one time on a base hit too.
Oh, that's fine.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I ever did, but.
Okay, can we go on? Preseason awards time. We know who are the front runners, Ohtani and Judge. I ask you this question. Would it be good or bad for the sport if each won it for the 3rd straight year in their respective league?
I think it's fine. I think it's good for the sport to have superstars. Like, I think it's cool for people who don't follow baseball on a day-to-day basis to like know who the best players are. There's just something about that. So I don't mind that at all. You know, I know if you do follow baseball day in and day out, and if you're listening to this show, you know, you're probably one of those people. You'd like to see somebody else win it, but I got news for you. In the NL, it ain't happening. Barring an injury, and Shohei is going to continue to run them off. Now, Aaron Judge, I think, isn't as much of a lock, but if he continues to hit like he's hit, then he is. But yeah, overall, I don't think it's a bad thing. We need more people to like know the names of our best players, and I think this is one way that it happens.
I think it's great. What would be last year was the first time in the history of the sport where the same guy won the MVP in consecutive years in each league. So now to have it done 3 times, and for Shohei, this would be his 4th straight MVP if he ends up winning this, I think. Is that accurate? 4th straight?
Or doesn't sound right. I think it'll be his 3rd straight, 4th overall.
No, I think it would be his 5th overall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I'm going to give him we talked about Barry Bonds having 7?
Yeah. Bonds has 7.
I think Shohei surpasses him. Yes, he is a 4-time MVP winner. You're right. So this will be his 5th.
I mean, that's incredible. And you're right. We seem to talk about it this time of year every year, which is what has to happen. And anything short of an injury, he's going to be a lock for it because he's not going to go hit 27 homers in 155 games. That's not going to happen. And is he going to have a 6 ERA in 22 starts? That's not going to happen. So he's right. The reason Aaron Judge doesn't have as good a shot is because he doesn't throw every 5 days. And that's the only thing. I mean, if a guy hits 60 home runs as a catcher last year and helps his team win in the division title for the first time in almost a quarter century, and that's still not good enough to top Aaron Judge, I don't know exactly what would be.
I mean, look at those stats right there for Judge, a 457 OBP.
He's a 10 WAR player.
That's insane, man. And then people don't give him enough credit for his defense and his arm. I think there's something there.
Oh, I think people know his arm is
we're around Yankee fans a lot, Chris.
Yeah, that's true, but his arm is great. There's not a lot more guys you would rather have throwing the ball from right field on a play either at third or at home. Right?
He just can't dance, and people are mad at them for that.
He also can't give rah-rah speeches.
Yeah, those two things together.
I mean, listen, we all have to have our deficiencies. That's fine.
Dan Rourke, relax back there. He's yelling at us. We're just poking a little fun at the big guy.
I think the only reason these guys winning it each for a third straight year would be a kind of a bummer is it feels like somebody would have to lead their team out of total obscurity to the playoffs. And that would, like somebody on the Pirates, like if they end up winning it, maybe Paul Skeens sneaks in there as an MVP if he's that dominant. Maybe Ellie De La Cruz if the Cincinnati Reds end up putting it all together and end up winning the National League. Right. I'm with you. I'm just
not in the NL.
No, you're right. Not in the NL. So who in the AL? Well, we'll get to that question a bit.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you and I agree that we're going to go chalk for the MVPs this year.
No, I mean, I'll take NL MVP Shohei Ohtani. I think the AL is open. I think it's open. I mean, Judge had a fantastic year. He's had, a lot of years he's stacking the incredible years. But I do think the AL is much more open than the NL.
Yes, much more because of Ohtani's two-way ability. But who is it that's going to push him?
Do you want me to get my answer right now?
Sure. Do you want to do a dark horse or is it a legit guy?
I'm going legit.
Okay. Who's that?
A guy that's had an MVP 4, an MVP 7, and last year an MVP 6. It's Julio Rodriguez. He plays a premium position. We talked about PCA and go look around the league at center fielders. He's on a very good team that's going to, most likely be in the playoffs. I mean, the guy was 30-30 last year. He's notoriously been a slow starter, so we're always wondering what happens if he gets off to a hot start. And now he's played in the WBC, so that tells me maybe he's gotten him a little bit ready for the April and May months that he typically struggles in. I mean, this guy, like the accolades and the things that he's done over his first, 4 seasons in the big leagues are kind of like unmatched. I got it right here. Only player in MLB history to have 110 plus homers and 110 stolen bases over his first 4 MLB seasons. 3-time All-Star already, 4 2020 seasons. He's gone 30-30 twice already. Like he cut his strikeout rate down last year, so that's going to help out a lot in some of that OPS type stuff. I just think that a complete season with his ability to play defense, run the bases, hit for power, I think that he's got a legit shot every single year to win the MVP, as shown by his finishes already. But if he puts together like a full year, we could easily be talking about Julio Rodriguez MVP.
Okay. I'm going to go with a dark horse in the American League because I think these are always fun. Now, this is a guy I think it'd be a remarkable year for him if he received top 10 votes. Okay. But maybe this is the year for Wyatt Langford. Okay? Can do it on both sides of the baseball. He can run as well. He missed almost 30 games last year and was still a 20-20 guy. So I think he could be a 30-30 guy. In addition to that, he's one of the best defensive outfielders we've got. He can mash, and he's going to have to be the centerpiece of any sort of offensive revival that they have. I don't know if you can count on enough games for him to be kind of the linchpin of this offense. So I think Wyatt Langford is my guy, has had an awesome spring. He's going to have to probably raise his OPS by 150 points to be in the discussion, which I know. But that's why I say it's a dark horse. That's what makes it fun. Guy kind of comes out of nowhere, and the Rangers are going to have to stick around. They certainly had the pitching last year to do it. The offense sucked, which you would never have thought that was possible in Arlington, but that's the way it was. So I'm keeping my eyes on you, Wyatt Langford. I'm in.
All right. Okay. What do you think the MVP voting will be for him? Do you think he gets MVP top 10?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Didn't receive one last year. Had a nice season.
He did. He had a 5.5 WAR, and I mentioned he missed almost 30 games. So stay healthy and produce. That's fun for me. Nationally, do you want to have a dark horse since you think
No, because you took my guy already. I was going to say Paul Skeens. Like he has.
I didn't take him. Go ahead.
No, but you said you already mentioned him as a guy. I took Paul Skeens because of what, we know the type of pitcher he is. And if the only way this happens, and I'm knocking on wood, please don't, it's an Ohtani injury. It's the only way this happens. I believe he was MVP 6 last year as well. Unanimous Cy Young winner, got all 30 first place votes. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. If he gets run support, third lowest run support in all of baseball last year. If he gets run support in a revamped Pirates offense, and I think if he stacks some more wins, even though people aren't supposed to care about those anymore, I think it still looks really nice in the back of your baseball card to have 20 wins. If that happens, and the Pirates, like you mentioned, if they make a run and we see them in the wild card consideration, easily, and the story's already written, and he already has the hype train. I think we can see him continue to kind of climb that MVP ballot where, I know it doesn't happen often. I think the last starter to win the MVP is Clayton Kershaw in 2014 at a 177. So Skeens is very much capable of that. If the Pirates go like this and Skeens is at the helm, I think there's a chance that we could see him win MVP. I think Major League Baseball would love that.
Of course they would. Love that. For me, I'm going to go dark horse again. Bryce Terang, who was Skeens' teammate at the World Baseball Classic and was one of the few guys who I thought provided constant offensive energy for Team USA. I love the way that he swings. And, I just talked about Wyatt Langford and how he's probably going to have to boost his OPS significantly. Bryce Terang did that last year. He jumped at 130 points to almost 800. I remember he had a great WAR in 2024 and a mid-sixes OPS. That's because the guy won the Platinum Glove. He stole 50 bags. Now, he fell back metrically defensively last year, so hopefully he gets back to what he was in 2024. He didn't swipe nearly as many bags because he was busier trotting around them. So I think he can be, it wouldn't shock me if he's like a 20-40 guy, homers and steals. And if the Brewers are going to maybe not be the best team in the regular season, but a team that contends with whether you believe the Cubs or the Reds or maybe the Pirates, or if they are just fighting it out for a wild card, he's going to be at the center of the discussion. He is an awesome ball player. I talked to Dino Ebel, who was the third base coach for Team USA, and he's a Dodgers third base coach. And I asked him, I said, which guy that you didn't know really impressed you? He's like, that Terang kid is out of this world good. He is awesome. And he was one of the few dudes that was doing it every day for us.
He's got the right demeanor for it. I love watching him play. And the Brewers are going to win the NL Central. I know we're just talking every other team up. The Brewers have a great team right now. Probably the most loaded starting rotation that they've ever had, because I don't know the history of the Brewers, but I love their starting rotation. I think there's more depth there than there has been in the previous 5 years. Okay. Yeah. And they've been going crazy in those years. So I have them winning the NL Central, and their win total, the projected win total is crazy. It's like 84 or something like that. That's just no way.
Okay. All right. So let us know, good or bad for baseball, if Ohtani and Judge win it each for the third straight year. You can give us a dark horse, or if you think somebody else is going to take the title from one of them, like a decent name star or a guy that comes out of nowhere. We gave you a lot to play with here. Let us know in the comments. Give us a little line about why you like each of these dudes. All right, let's move to the Cy Young, where Skeens and Skubal are your reigning winners there. What's the better story? What Skeens could do in his third year in the bigs, or what Tarik Skubal can pull off in what might be his Detroit curtain call?
I think I'm going to go Skubal on this one because we know it's going to be his curtain call. And the fact that the Tigers kept him around, I think, was the right decision. He's not going anywhere. And I think that, he knows he's getting into free agency, but I think that he's going to be obviously all in on the Tigers this season. And they've done everything they can to put a winner. And I hope they get rewarded for it. I'm very curious to see how the 1-2 punch of him and Framber goes throughout the year. I think it's going to be one of the best in baseball. They're going to win the AL Central, or at least be at the. I think the Royals might push them a little bit, and maybe the Guardians will just come out of nowhere again, because they always seem to do that. But yeah, I want to see what he does, and I'm going there with my mind right now, and I almost don't want to say it, Chris. Do you think there's ever ever be in the back of his mind, like, dude, like, I'm about to be a free agent, like, pump the brakes a little bit?
Come on.
I know that's not in his personality.
Well,
I know that's not in his personality, but I'm just like trying to put myself in his shoes. Like, the Tigers are going to ask a lot from him this year because they're trying to squeeze every little bit of value that's left in him because they know that basically they're going to get a compensation pick for him. So if it comes down to it, and they're asking him to do like some Madison Bumgarner type stuff, is Scooble going to be like willing to do that?
All right. So CC Sabathia spent 2 months in Milwaukee as a major leaguer, and it's something we still talk about because if people don't remember this, in 2008, down the stretch, they asked him to pitch like he'd have 3 days off, get your ass back out there, get us to the playoffs, and he was killing it, throwing complete games, totally, and it's something we still talk about. So you're saying if down the stretch they're either pushing to make the playoffs, or if they're down, let's say 2-1 in a 5-game series, and you've got to come back on 3 days rest, go do that.
I'm just thinking about this. Like, I think it's in Scooble's nature to just want the pill no matter
Right.
what. Like, he's like that kind of dog. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying, like, that. Can you imagine having to think about that? Like, you're this close to how much? A lot of money.
$4 million.
You're saying 400? I mean, it's a lot. I don't know what it's going to be.
I don't either.
I'm just
Well, there are going to be critics that say he didn't do it for Team USA.
That's a little different. I think that's a little different. I know
agree
people don't want to hear that. It's early in the season. But yeah, that's something that I'll be watching as well. Like, do the Tigers even put him in that position? In my mind, they do, but maybe they don't.
That's a fascinating question, but you're right. That's why the correct answer is Tarek Skubal this year, because there's so many moving parts. And I don't think the Tigers have gone all in on this team. I think they're saying we're going to rely on our young guys offensively. And when they got to the playoffs last year, that just wasn't good enough. I actually applaud them for making the Mariners sweat it out, going to a decisive Game 5 and going 15 innings. Like, with that offense, it wasn't good enough in the playoffs against Cleveland and Seattle, and they didn't make any major changes, right? Maybe McGonigal is going to be the answer, and at the end of the day, that's the major acquisition as a young guy coming up through the system, and he's going to be a 21-year-old shortstop or whatever he is, and will ride whatever wave he can provide. But I thought that maybe that they would have gotten a little more offensive help. So that's all part of the narrative with this guy. Man, I didn't even think about the possibilities of what it looks like at the end of the year or the playoffs, and to put him in a, hey, do it for your team situation. But I think he would.
I think he has that mentality, Chris.
I do too.
We'll just see how it all plays out. But I was thinking about that the other day. Just, I wasn't even really putting the WBC in the same category, but I guess it kind of is. I mean,
no,
in an essence, I know it's a different part of the season, but he definitely chose protecting himself over that. Or I guess they chose the Tigers. I don't really understand the thought process there, because he was back in spring training throwing bullets anyway. So what does it mean? I don't know.
Now, different guy, but same agent, Steven Strasburg, right?
Yeah.
There were all these rules reportedly that about usage and all of this. God almighty. Man, Now you got me thinking.
I got you thinking. Now.
That I don't want to be in September or October discussing the possibility of Tarek Skubal not participating to protect his future. I
And
don't even want to think about that.
I want people to think about it this way, because I know a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean? He's got to go do it for his team because that's who you're rooting for. But imagine it's your son. What advice would you give to him? I think
Right.
that's the way to think about it.
It is, but it's a lot easier when it really isn't our son, because
I know that you're going to say, go pitch, go take the pill, man, go
Right,
get those outs.
right,
We
'cause
need
that's what we all
them.
wanna see.
Do it for us.
God, Plouffe, you unlocked a good one there. All right. So with that being said, are you picking these same two guys again to win the Cy Young?
Skeens, I think it's kind of the same answer. Like NL, I think Skeens, yes. I think AL is maybe more wide open. I think there might be a little bit of like hesitation at the end of the season for Skubal, and I think there's a lot. I mean, there's great pitchers in both leagues. There's no doubt about it. But I think Skeens has, in my opinion, a better chance to do it again than Skubal does. Not saying that Skubal's not going to be amazing this year. It just seems to me like the narrative of Skeens continuing to pile up Cy Youngs is kind of where I'm at. If I had to put like money on it and bet on it, I would say yes, these two.
Well, I think there's a larger gap between Skeens and the second best pitcher in the National League than there is between Skubal and the next best pitcher in the American League. So I would say yes for Skeens. Although look, Christopher Sanchez was absolutely incredible last year. Raised his strikeout rate, threw over 200 innings, I believe, was just sensational, and only gave up 12 homers. When you pitch for Philly and you only give up a dozen homers, you're doing something right. So maybe I'm off on that, but it just feels that way. I think Garrett Crochet does end up winning the Cy Young this year. He was awfully close last year. He had more strikeouts than Skubal. He pitched 10 more innings. I think he had 14 more strikeouts. He's right there. The difference is the walks. Skubal is so pinpoint with his control, and Crochet can go a little bit all over the place at times, but he is just an animal. And I think he's going to lead this Red Sox rotation, which in my opinion is excellent going into the year. And I think he's going to join the likes of Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez and Rick Porcello and Jim Lomborg.
Rick Porcello, man, I forgot he won a Cy Young. I got answers to the other ones. I don't know. Maybe I didn't understand the way you were going to phrase this question.
Well, what did you want to answer? Go ahead.
I have a few guys who I have a dark horse in the NL.
Can I guess who it is?
Sure. It's a dark horse.
So it's kind of back in the weeds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit. So like a Jesus Luzardo type guy.
No.
Well, not him.
Younger.
Yeah.
Younger.
Okay. Andrew Abbott.
Like him, but younger, less experience. Not
McLean?
like him. Like I like him.
Are you going McLean?
He actually pitches like the exact opposite of Andrew Abbott.
Are you going McLean?
I'm going Jacob Mizorowski.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fun.
The Brewers are going to be there. We saw flashes of like absolute brilliance from this guy. The workload was more than he'd ever pitched in his life before last year. He got hit with a comebacker, had some shin stuff that kind of threw his mechanics off. The command went out the window. Some of the velo dipped down. But like a full healthy offseason, getting built up a little bit more. I mean, we can't forget about like the stuff that this guy possesses. Like he started the All-Star game.
Yes, he did.
Like that's crazy. Like we can't forget about like he burst onto the scene, and yes, he faded away almost as quickly. But I think he has like the makeup. Like I don't know. There's just something about this kid that makes me want to watch him. So I'd be
maybe
because
he
surprised me if he was getting like big time Cy Young votes at the end of the year.
Okay. Do you have one in the American League? Because I didn't do the dark horse. I don't know. I didn't turn in my full assignment, even though I'm the one that put it out there.
Yeah, this one's not dark horse at all. I think it's just like this guy put together like 32 great starts. Which
Hunter Brown.
No.
Oh.
Local guy.
Guy from here?
Yeah.
Max Fried.
Yes. He's durable. The Yankees are gonna be in it. I mean, he's been one of the best left-handed pitchers of what, the last decade? I don't know. Like, he's an absolute stud. So, like, I think he's going to be there. I love that he can hold runners, field his position, again, makes the starts. He already is like, I don't know. He's just that type of pitcher. I'd love to see him win one. He's been so consistent, and I think he's been better than people would even expect in New York.
Yeah.
So he's doing it on a massive stage. Again, like, if he just has his career year, 32 great starts, there's no reason why he couldn't be the AL Cy Young.
Okay. Those are good. All good. All right. We need it in the comments section. So MVP, Cy Young, covered a lot of stuff. The Scooble topic was fantastic. Good job, Plouffe.
Thank you.
Man, oh man, you earned extra brownie points. Excellent. Well, today's episode of Baseball Today, it is sponsored by PSA. You know those baseball cards that you've had since you were a kid, the ones that are sitting in your parents' basement or stored in those boxes that you move from house to house to house. What if they're actually worth something? Stop wondering. Find out with the help of PSA. With PSA app, you can quickly scan your cards to find out their estimated market value. Then you ship them to the hobby's #1 authenticator to get them graded and ready to sell. From there, you're just seconds away from listing them on eBay, accepting zero-fee cash PSA partner offers on eligible cards, or storing your items in the PSA vault. There's no taking pictures, filling out long selling forms, dealing with potential buyers, just one single app and one shipment. That's all it takes to go from sitting at home to graded and listed for sale. So step up to the plate, turn your cards into cash with the power of PSA. Head to the link in the description. Use the code TODAY25 for $25 off your first grading submission. Terms do apply. Let us know how you do out there. I know Plouffe is a big card guy. So I hope you're taking advantage of that situation, Plouffe. Nice. All right, rookie. I guess we could call it Rookie of the Year. I'm calling in each league rookie you're most interested in following throughout the season, which I think probably could be a little bit different than Rookie of the Year. But let's start in the AL for each of us. Who do you have?
I have a guy who I'm fascinated with, and an organization that I'm fascinated with. I'm going to go Tetsuya Amai. We heard just a lot of weird things about him in the offseason. I've heard that he's kind of like a party guy, which is, hey, that's fine in my book if you get the job done. So he goes to Houston. Again, it's an organization I'm fascinated with. He's looked great in spring training. He kind of just like has everything that you need. Is he going to be able to find it at the big league level? I think they got a great deal on this guy, and if they can continue to kind of just like move through pitchers and star players, I don't know. I think Houston's going to be right back in the mix. I think everyone's writing the Astros off, but they kind of got the band back together. They get Yordan back. They got Hunter Brown and now Tetsuya Amai. Like, I'm thinking, is this the AL West, like at least 1A, 1B with the Mariners?
Well, look, he's got to replace a guy in Framber Valdez, and whatever you think of him, he is a 30-plus start guy, 190 innings. You can chalk all that stuff up. Just write it down every year because that's what happens. So you're asking a guy to come in and replace one of the most consistent pitchers we've had in baseball.
This guy threw 163 last year.
Okay, that's not 190.
Cut his walk rate down. Like he's finding it. Give me 175. You're fine.
Okay. Look, I agree with you that he is fascinating to follow. For me, and this one hits home because I think he's so critical to whatever success my team can have. It's Chase DeLauder, the guy who made his major league debut last year in the playoffs. And what's the first thing that happens? He clunks a ball right off his mitt. He is going to, I don't know if you saw, but last night he went deep twice in Arizona and he hit one almost 450 to dead center. He's got the strangest swing you've seen. It's just, he keeps his hands in and everything he seems to barrel. His numbers his exit velo numbers are out of this world good. And I think that he has to be Cleveland's second best offensive player if they're going to make a run. Here's a swing last night. Actually, you know what, Dan? Do you have sound on this? I want you to do you have the ability to hear the Nats? Okay, he's gonna work on that, and you just tell me when it's ready, because I want you to listen. You guys always talk about it sounds different off of certain guys' bats. This play was crazy. That was a first inning homer off of Merrill Kelly. And then he hit another one later in the game where he dead pulled to right field. But he's going to have to replace Stephen Kwan as being the second most productive offensive player, or this team's not going to go anywhere.
What's up with Kwan?
Nothing. I love Stephen, but here, listen.
The water slams it. Boy, that sounded good. Alec Thomas up against the wall, and it's gone. And this is why everybody says this young kid is going to be a good one. Chase DeLauder.
That's right. My buddy Steve Berthiaume, with whom I used to anchor at CNN Sports Illustrated, and was at my wedding many moons ago.
I like that swing. That's a short to it, long through it right there.
Yeah. It's funky. You don't see a lot of guys like that. It's a weird swing.
Tight. He keeps the hands tight to the body, back elbow really engaged back there. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So he's going to have to.
Freddie Freeman-ish. Do that again. Play it again. Play it again.
Wow.
Start it over.
Wow. Freddie
Maybe
Freeman.
not. I mean, just the shortness, the quickness of that reminds me of Freddie.
Okay. It's got to be my guy. All right. What about National League?
Oh man, I love this guy. I saw like one interview with him and I just kind of fell in love with like his antics, and then you watch him pitch and it's like, oh my gosh. I guess I like starting pitchers now all of a sudden. I'm going Bubba Chandler of the Pittsburgh Pirates, dude.
Oh.
Like how can you not watch this guy throw and just be absolutely excited? He came up last year, struggled in his first start, 9 runs over 2 2/3 against Milwaukee. And then in his final 3 starts, he only got 2 runs over 16 2/3. So he struggled initially right there. I think he got to save his first in his debut, struggled in his first start, and that could hurt a lot of people mentally. But like if you've watched this guy talk, like he's very strong mentally. To be able to come back, do that what he did at the end of the season, I think is great. And then you just watch like the arsenal that he has. He's got the right on right change. He says he thinks it's the best pitch in baseball, right on right change. I agree. More people need to be throwing that. He's got it in spades, plus that freaking, just a bullet of a fastball. Super effortless delivery. I don't know. There's just something about him that makes me want to watch him. And the Pirates are going to be really fun this year, man.
Yeah.
Really, really fun.
By the way, we just had a Ben Gamel sighting walking back from striking out against him. I love it because in the video we were just showing, I love pitchers who, after they strike somebody out, has a little extra kick, that little extra jump in their step, like badass.
It's so smooth and effortless. I don't know. There's just he's caught my eye every time I seen him throw the ball.
I'm gonna stay in Ohio. I think Sal Stewart is huge for the Cincinnati Reds. Now we got a little bit of a taste of it at the conclusion of last year and then into the playoffs where he hit 5 homers in 55 big league at bats. He's got massive pop, and I know they signed Eugenio Suarez, who was almost a 50-homer guy last year between Arizona and Seattle, but this guy is going to be key for them for a long time. The Reds only had 2 guys hit more than 20 homers, and in that ballpark, that is a weird number, right? Ellie De La Cruz and Spencer Steer were the only guys, and De La Cruz led him with 22. So if this guy can provide something in the middle of that lineup, I think that all could be well in Cincinnati. Yes, they made the playoffs, but they won, 83 games and limped in because the Mets just stunk it up down the stretch. So if they're going to get better, and they're going to need some guys to help carry them, Hunter Green's not going to be available for the first few months, so you're going to be missing your ace. I know they still feel like they have plenty of starting pitching, and they can withstand that injury. But offensively, they got to do a little something here, don't you think?
Top to bottom. Yes, to answer your question, but top to bottom, are we most excited about the NL Central?
I think it's fair because
like the Cardinals are going to bring up the rear, and maybe that's not going to be so fun. But JJ Weatherholt, congratulations, he made the team, so you can watch him. But there's 4 teams that I think are like fascinating. At least have like fun storylines, are going to be in contention. I'm looking around like. I guess you could say the AL West too. I mean, Seattle, Houston, I mentioned them. I think Texas has got a shot, and then the A's offense is going to be so fun to watch.
Yes, but that's kind of where it ends. We'll say the same thing about the A's because they're, yes, offensive, but they don't have any pitching, and that's a real problem. But I would agree with you. I think that there's 4 really good storylines in this division.
Probably the AL East, people are going to be yelling at their screens, what about us?
Well, I would say that Baltimore, and we'll discuss that more on opening day, exactly where they sit when we get there. Or maybe
on Baltimore. I'm in on Baltimore having a really good season this year.
All right, listen, we covered a lot of ground today. So a lot of for you guys to talk about with PCA's extension. We'll put a final number once we get it, hopefully later today. Roki Sasaki, are the Dodgers making a mistake by allowing him to join the rotation with his spring training struggles? And then we talked to you about MVPs, Cy Youngs, rookies to keep our eye on. We want a lot of comments here. We love hearing from you guys and what you're thinking about going into the season. And that's why it's a partnership here between ourselves and the community. That's what we love about it. So just to let everybody know, we're back to 5 days a week. Wednesday, we're going to give you our playoff predictions. We are going to have a show out early Thursday morning for you. We're actually going to, I think, probably tape it after the Yankees-Giants season opener on Netflix on Wednesday night. And then we're going to preview all of the games from Thursday as well and wrap up what happened on Wednesday. So a ton of content coming your way. We are so happy you're along for the ride. Woo! I feel good. Now I got to get my lift in, and maybe I'll steam my shirt, which is massively wrinkled today.
I'm going to be on the beach all next week. I got to be ready.
What are you being on where are you going?
I'm going to Florida. Spring break. I got kids, man.
You still going to join us?
I am. I might ask for one day off, but I'm going to join you. I'm bringing all my stuff. I actually just bought a new extra monitor, like travel one, because I have one here, obviously, but I'm going to be locked and loaded, man.
I love that. I love that about you. Way to keep grinding.
Yeah, I'm a grinder.
Just wash the sand out of those rough to get to areas. All right. For our one-of-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented and soon-to-be beach sun-soaking Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today.